Guru Nation, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share. I met a super interesting person on Twitter, well, X, formerly known as Twitter, Biotech Scanner. For those that have been following the show, occasionally I cover some biotech stocks that I find interesting. AQST, it's been the only one. Look, on my watch, guys, it's the only stock symbol on my Apple Watch, right? And for years, this price, stay the same. It's like the moon, you just watch the cycles go, but nothing really interesting. Lately, it's been blowing up. Like it's like excitement. I get dopamine spike every morning when I look now. And of course, I bought more now. I bought more options to get into the dopamine rushes that come with it. And I go on Twitter, X, the main guy. You're like the mayor of AQST, the unofficial spokesperson, biotech scanner. Thank you so much for coming on. I've never met anyone like you who's got so honed in on a biotech and public about it. It's really amazing. And you have a science background. You were almost going to med school. I'm actually also like a pre-med school student
Yeah.
myself.
All
I'm in
right.
clinical research. You're in the industry, so it's so nice to have met you. X's still have some decent people on there, so I'm glad to know that.
Yeah. I really nice to meet you and to talk to you and thank you for the invitation. And before we get started, I just want to say hello to my followers. That I call them dragons.
Dragons. All right,
So
I'm a dragon.
yes, you are.
Yeah.
And you know what? All IQST needed was just a catalyst, right? And yeah,
It
and
has
I'm
a
very
couple.
excited for this company.
Me too. It was like a boring stock. That's how you know it's not a pump and dump. Because I've been the victim of a lot of pump and dumps,
Right.
and I've also been the victim of a lot of boring stocks. Well, the boring ones, you can complain all you want, but you can't say it's a pump and dump. This thing's been stable for like 3 years, hasn't done anything. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just been sitting there. I've held it the whole time. Um, Lately though, because a lot of stuff's gonna happen this year,
Yep.
supposedly. This is not financial advice, by the way. We both own shares. We're not trying to manipulate the stock price. We're just excited. Actually, you're gonna get into personal story with yourself, but we're both in the science space. We're science people before we're stock market people.
That's
At
right.
least I am. I think you're more knowledgeable about stocks than I am, but I learn from you. That's why I follow people like you. But not financial advice. I just want to preface this to people. Do your own due diligence. Don't listen
That's
to
right.
some guys from Twitter.
That's right. Well, yeah, and again, thanks for the invitation. And the main reason, when you asked me to come to on your show, my initial thought was, no, I want to protect my privacy and things like that. And I actually sent you a message saying that I'm not going to do it, right? Um, and then I thought about it some more, Dan, and I thought, you know, I have been preaching, telling my followers to go out and spread the good news about AnaFilm that Aqstive Therapeutics is making and currently in clinical trials. And so the personal story goes that more than 30 years ago, I lost my dear sister to an anaphylactic shock, and
Sorry.
it destroyed me, my family. And so, she wasn't carrying a rescue with her. And I believe that Aqstive Therapeutics has a solution to the carrying problem. They can increase it's called the carry curve. That there are approximately 25 to 40 million people diagnosed with severe allergic reactions and anaphylaxis, but yet they don't fill the prescription and they don't carry the rescue with them. And that is tragic. And every year we hear stories of people losing their loved ones because they do not have residue with them. And I believe that AQST, this AnaFilm, will change that. That is so easy that people could carry AnaFilm on their phone. And 97% of Americans have a smartphone. They can fit it in there because it's thinner than a credit card, right? And it works really fast. And I believe when phase 3 data is released, it's gonna be positive based on my research. And you know, I'm so excited about what is going on with this company, not just on AnaFilm, but other things as well. But on the personal note, it's the AnaFilm that gives me the most passion about this company.
Yeah, I think for most people, and we're gonna get to the other products because, well, maybe we start with the thing that you and I discussed that I think most people missed, but we both caught it because we work in the industry, is the cream. So in the earnings call they had, two things stood out to me, biotech scanner. The one was this cream I want to get into. The second thing was when the CEO said, we're actively in discussions with partners to commercialize. If we don't find a lucrative or reasonable deal, we will do it ourselves. They're already talking like it's here, in the call. Like you don't make those kind of plans unless you're confident about what you have. And so those are the two things stuck out to me.
Yes, and you know, even before the conference call, the earnings call, I gave my follower a quiz, right, over the weekend,
Yeah.
last weekend. You know, I said, did anyone catch anything on the Oppenheimer, conference? There is something that they reveal, that is not even on their website, right?
Mhm.
And their answer is that AQST 108, the cream. Now, then most people don't know this, but AQST 108 was the original AnaFilm. It did not pan out because it was too slow. They switched to AQST 109, which is the formulation that we know now as AnaFilm. And now they're going back to AQST 108
Mhm.
and using their permeation enhancement technology, because epinephrine doesn't absorb into your skin very well at all. But that enhancement technology changes everything. And as a matter of fact, on the conference call yesterday, they were in clinic working on the cream, testing the cream.
On a phase 1 or on a preclinical?
Yeah, it's gonna be pre,
Yeah.
because they have to get permission
Right.
from the
They have to
FDA
get the
to start
IND,
clinical
right?
trial, right?
Yeah.
So this is pre, and they are actually actively talking to the FDA about that. And they will also, when they talk to the FDA, they're going to be discussing what indications are they seeking for this, for 108. And so, with anything, skin conditions, there are so many conditions, and most of them are caused by histamines and because of vasodilation. Okay, so you got these skin rash, hives, and all that. So what epinephrine does is the opposite. It causes vasoconstriction. It solves it, and it does it very, very quickly. And I think this is going to be a big hit. And I have not mentioned that before, maybe just once today, but 108 may be even bigger than AnaFilm, because the skin rashes, everywhere. And
Atopic skin rash, when they
yes,
don't have a name for it, atopic, they call it.
yes, and when you have the indication for atopic dermatitis, that is big money because almost everything is atopic dermatitis.
And
It's
let me
big.
tell you, I work in clinical research, so we study a lot of this stuff, and I work with a derm. One of the things we do, a lot of atopic derm, they're all MABs, they're all monoclonal antibody. This is something totally different, totally
Yep.
unique, and complete new mechanism of action. Pro drugs
Right.
are amazing, I think, and yeah, this is a very good point you brought to your dragon lair. I
But
like
hey,
that.
one of them got it right. This PharmD guy from Arizona, he got it right.
I followed
Uh,
him just today. I follow him.
oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I know who he is.
Yeah,
Farm DAZ. He's cool.
yeah. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. But yeah, only one of them got it right. He got it right, and hey, I'm proud of him. But and then of course, another thing that I tell my dragons or followers is that when you invest in biotech, don't invest in a drug, invest in a platform.
Yes.
And AQST, Aqstive Therapeutics, fits that mold exceptionally well. And the foam film technology and then their permeation um, enhancement technology combined to create AnaFilm, the possibilities are just endless, right? Except for peptides. People ask me, hey, can they use it on GLP-1s or insulin? Those are larger molecules. There are multi-chain peptides, so they are larger. It's difficult to absorb. But like epinephrine is a derivative of tyrosine, just single chain amino acid, so it absorbs very quickly.
Right.
But the bigger molecule is not going to be able to do it. So there are limitations. However, the possibilities, it's just a lot of good
Right.
possibilities for
I mean,
Aqstive.
not everything can be a pro drug, but pro drugs
Right,
are awesome in the sense that you can bypass phase one, healthy volunteer, and go straight to phase two because of it's already been proven to be effective and safe. And I forgot the pathway. It's I think 501 something, the pathway the FDA gives
yeah,
them to
yep,
bypass for these pro drugs. So you're seeing
yes,
a lot of pro drugs, even in my clinics as doing studies. We do a lot of pro drugs, and honestly, they're the easiest ones to sell patients because you
it's
already know
proven.
this drug. Yeah, it already look for 30 years it's been doing, but now the formulation's different, the
Right,
delivery is different, the mechanism of action is different. Let's see if it works for XYZ indication. And you're right, the platforms are there. And that was a really good thing that the FDA did to I guess facilitate innovation that not enough
right.
people give them credit for.
Yeah, yeah. And the other drug that we haven't talked about is Libervant, right? For
Everyone
cluster
assumes
seizures,
everyone assume it's approved. That's why. PDUFA's
right?
what, April 29th or something?
April 28th,
Okay.
for 2 to 5 year olds.
Uh-huh.
And um, I believe they will get approved
Right.
because the adult version it has already been tentatively approved. The drug is actually being used in Europe.
Hmm.
And this is amazing for AQST because if Libervant is approved for 2 to 5 year old, the only competition on market is a rectal cream. Okay, now my challenge for you tonight is to get that image out of your head.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
now these are kids 2 to 5 year old. That means adults have to give it to them while they're at school. There are legal things that you have to deal with, you know, a lot of times these administrators or counselors or nurses, they refuse to touch, the kid there, right? And so with the film, it changes everything, right? So it's a big deal. And also too, um, the adult version for Libervant tentatively approved, but yet they cannot market it until January 11, 2027 because of the orphan drug exclusiveness, exclusivity for 7 years. So they have to wait. However, the company is fighting that. Okay. The company said basically that we're appealing it, right? Because it's such a game changer. And
Right.
and then of course, after Libervant 2 to 5 year olds approved, let's say it's approved, um, Aqstive will announce either they're going to launch it on their own or announce a partnership. So there in itself, after the approval, there's another catalyst right there. And then they're going to update investors on on 108. Their conversations with the FDA, what indications they're going to seek, when are they going to start phase 1, and then they, of course, they're going to give us interim data throughout. So,
They may not have to do phase one, I think, if it's a prodrug, epinephrine, right? You said this one?
let me see. Yes. So yeah, exactly. Yeah, we talked about that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
They may skip
yeah,
phase one and go like a 1B or
yeah,
two directly to.
correct.
Um,
So
you know what's interesting with the anaphylaxis. So I was actually looking to be a site for this study,
oh yeah,
because I'm interested in it. But
right,
I was wondering, how are you gonna? It's not ethical to like give people allergies, and then put them into shock. So what they're doing it on healthy volunteer,
that's
but
right,
they also have a control groups where they are having people observationally who have allergies, right? And then they give
correct,
them the control or the film. And so that's where the top line results are going to come from, like the healthy volunteer unit, I think on the PK/PD stuff,
right,
where they're comparing the PK/PD to the effects of epi, EpiPen.
correct,
So that's one of the advantage of this prodrug is like the phase one. You don't really need to do it. As
right,
long as IRB approved, like it's ethical to be used. Now in skin condition, you're gonna do it outpatient because it's not an emergency condition. So you're gonna have traditional dermatology. The other two studies they have are emergency situations. So it's not like a traditional clinic outpatient setting. Those are like emergency situations. So this will be more of like a real clinical trial, I think, if they end up developing that one.
yes. And let me tell you, and I tweeted out yesterday, if AnaFilm, if the data is positive, which I think it will be, and if it's
Hopefully.
approved by the FDA, it will be the toughest test that Aqstive will go through because the FDA has to consider this is a life or death situation.
Yes.
Can we trust this film?
Hmm.
And if it's approved, any drug after this will be so easy for Aqstive because more than likely it's not a life or death situation, right? This is the toughest challenge that they
Correct.
will face. Because it's a whole different deal. So if Aqstive can pass this, oh my gosh, I mean, other companies will come, right?
It was
Hey,
smart. It was
yeah,
smart though,
yeah, make
because
this for us. Can you make this work for us? Can we make this together? We will make it. You make this percentage. I mean, other companies are out there just waiting and see what's going to unfold with AnaFilm, because
Yeah.
if they can pass the life or death situation challenge, it's going to be a breeze from now on. So I'm very excited about Aqstive future, because the platform is amazing when I looked at it. And then I looked at Aqstive like back in the summer, when one of my news app popped up, talking about Aqstive's, positive phase 2 data, whatever. And so I read it, and I'm like, dang, this is very interesting, right?
Yeah.
And, yeah, and then I started, digging, and
You start nerding out.
yes,
The
and it
guys are
took
hard
me,
to get a hold of. I tried to get the CEO on. Their PR people, nope. They're very quiet. They're head in the books, doing it everything the right way.
yes,
They don't want to come out and do interviews. So they're very hard to get information.
yeah, and that is also very smart, because, and I actually have reached out to Dan Barber, the CEO. He has ignored me, like
Yeah, me
you.
too. Yeah, he ignored me. His PR people ignore me too. Usually these stock companies PR people,
Yeah,
they love it. Yeah, give retail. These guys, no. And that actually says a lot about their confidence, I
yes,
think.
and here's the thing: you and I better be glad that they are handling it like that, because they are hand in hand with the FDA in every step of the trial. Now, most investors don't know about Aqstive. They have a bunch of drugs already being approved. They know this process inside and out more than most companies
Yeah.
with their size. They have a bunch of drugs on the market approved. They have worked with FDA before. And the thing that I pointed out maybe last week, that so after the phase 2 trial, they had a meeting with the FDA. Then instead of starting phase 3, Dan, what did they do? They start a pilot.
Mhm.
I have never seen that. They're like, you
Yeah.
know what? Okay, so FDA, okay, so you want this. Okay, we'll do a pilot. Oh, okay, now we're done. Is that what you want? Okay, good. We're going to do phase 3. That right there, Dan Barber, man, he's very
Yeah.
articulate about this, because they have to get it right. They are doing a much better job than the spray people, right? They they have taken lessons from that experience from the ARS people,
Wait,
and
which one? The
used it to their
spray from,
advantage.
can you explain that a little bit for those that don't know?
Sure. So there's a company called ARS Pharmaceutical that makes the Neffy. It's also for the same indication, severe allergic reactions and anaphylaxis, but it's a spray. It's called Neffy, and so they did the phase 3 and everything. Uh, they applied for the NDA to you know to get approved to market, to bring it to market, and they ultimately get a CRL, which is a complete response letter, basically a rejection letter, because they were missing some data of of patients. They want to have some patients induce some type of allergy and experience nasal congestion, to see how those people responded. But they did that, but they didn't do a repeat dose. So in like 10 to 20% of patients experiencing anaphylaxis may need a second dose. So they want to see how Neffy is being absorbed and excreted, and how is it affect the body um, after after the first dose. They want to see a repeat dose. Well, according to ARS, they apparently had an agreement with the FDA that they will do that after Neffy is already on market. So it's
Hmm.
a post-marketing trial. according to them, the FDA changed their mind and wanted them to do that before they bring it to market. So now
Which means
that
millions, by the way. Tens of millions is what that
yes,
means at least. Doing the trial again.
correct. And what it did do, it does two things for Aqstive or AQST. One, the gap of to market time between the spray and the film is now a lot narrower, right? Because of the delay of the spray, and also AQST. It's like, oh, so we better do that too. We better do a repeat dose too, right? FDA said yes, and they right away incorporate that part of the trial in their trial. Very smart. And all that is free. It could have cost them a lot of money, but they learned from ARS.
Yeah. You think ARS was stubborn, or the FDA told them beforehand you need to do it this way, and then they said, no, we'll do it in phase 4. We'll get the second dose in
Whatever.
phase 4.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but it should never happen. Okay.
Yeah.
Because the FDA typically gives you every opportunity to get it right.
Right. Right.
So somebody's being something. Now, what Dan Barber and AQST is doing, they're doing the opposite. Tell us what we need to do. FDA, we'll do it. Right?
Yeah. Well, now they see how serious the FDA is regarding
Yeah.
that too. I mean,
Yeah.
like you said, this is life or death. It's not like atopic dermatitis or okay, after it's approved, get the data. This is like people can die. If you recommend only 1 dose and someone needs 2 and it's not on your label, someone could die. Like unnecessary deaths can occur.
Exactly. And Dan said on a conference call, and he said it before. He said the FDA is going to do what they need to do, right? And so he's basically saying the FDA is treating everybody equally. And it's for the safety of the patient, right? The last thing you want happening is to give somebody a drug in a life or death situation and it doesn't work as well as it should.
Right.
So they are gonna leave no stone unturned, before they approve one of these drugs. And so I can see why AQST is being very cautious, being very careful, and just every step that they take, basically, they're in step with the FDA because they also believe that, I mean, this is their future. Okay.
Right.
Now, that being said, biotech investor, man, they tend to panic a lot, right?
Well, yeah.
And
I mean,
and
they're maxed
so
out of their eyeballs with options and all this stuff. You know
right.
that.
So, with the case of AQST, as they're processing all of this, they're doing their phase 3, about to release phase 3 data, and they can apply for the NDA. But there may be some delay, but it's not a bad thing. It's just the FDA wanted to do it right for the patients.
Right.
So I tell people all the time when they invest in biotech and waiting for approval, when a company receive a CRL letter, complete response letter, it is not a death sentence. Okay, it is just basically the FDA saying, "Hey, we got you, but we need that. How about you doing that for us as well? We need that. This is missing, so go ahead and do that." So it's basically pushing the timeline back, but the drug ultimately is going to be on market. Okay, so there are different levels of CRL, And I hope that when we get closer to that time, that people will recognize, hey, the FDA may tell, AQST to say, hey, you need to do this as well. And then so it may push it back for, 5 months, 3 months, or whatever. Don't go out and just panic sell. Just you have to put things in perspective that the med is going to be on the market sooner or later, but they have to do one more thing for the FDA. So I just want to get that out there as well, because I saw what happened to Sprite, which is the ticker. I think it dropped 55% when they got the CRL, and
Right.
dude, I'm like, if I were there at that time, I would have scooped up all the shares. Because I believe that Netflix will be approved. I believe that it probably could come before the film.
Hmm.
But remember,
But it cost them a lot more now to redo that study.
it does. But I've told my followers this: it doesn't matter what is before or after AnaFilm. AnaFilm will be king, because it has unmatched convenience. You cannot get more convenient than drop it under the tongue. I'm sorry. You,
Yeah.
you can't debate me on
And let it
this.
dissolve. Yeah.
Yes. And they don't have to. You need a glass of water? No, don't need a glass of water. It will be absorbed directly to the bloodstream.
Right.
You cannot debate me on the convenience factor.
And
There is
it's not another Me Too. I mean, the
nope.
FDA can say, hey, we're not in the business of deciding what the market wants. Like put the spray and the film out and see what the doctors prescribe. I mean,
And
see what the scripts do.
you know what, Dan? The question was raised about this very question. What will happen to AQST or AnaFilm if the nephew was approved? And Dan Barber, the CEO, could not give a better answer. He said, it's going to be good either way, because the unmet need, there are 25 to 40 million people that should be carrying this around. They're not. Only maybe 10 to 15% are doing that. And so if Neffy were to get approved, the sales force, and I'm in that, I know the business very well, they have to go out and educate, right?
Mhm.
Doctor, there's another option right now for your patient. Tell your patient about this. So, they don't have to jab themselves in the thigh anymore. It's painful. This is just a spray. It's going to be easier, more convenient for your patients, right? If AnaFilm was approved before Neffy, they would have to do the same thing. Doctor,
Right.
that's a new option, right? Now, if AnaFilm were to get approved before Neffy, it's a big problem for Sprite, because once you use the film, you're not going back to anything else.
This could be true.
However, if Neffy is approved before the film, that's no problem. Sooner or
Now,
later, they'll get to the film.
I mean, I love AQST, but to play devil's advocate, so you were saying it's simple, small, you carry it, a lot of the compliance issue. My niece also has severe peanut allergy. She rarely carries the EpiPen with her. I think she has it in her car. It's in
Yeah,
the hot desert sun. I mean, who knows if it still works?
right.
I mean, it gets 120 degrees in the desert. Who knows in the trunk how hot that thing gets, right? The
Yep.
film, isn't there an argument? I'm trying to find like something bad. Like, isn't the argument that the film is too small? Like you could lose it. Maybe the nasal spray is like the right size because it's not too small, it's not too big, you can't lose it. Because like with Listerine strips, you forget where you put them. Like when you need it, you're like, where is it in my pocket? It fell out. Oh, I don't know if it fell out. You know what I mean? I'm trying to
Yeah.
find something
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. And again, it's just undebatable, and I'm going to address that, right? Um, the there's with the spray, okay. Number one, you said 110 degrees heat.
More, yeah.
That's going to be a problem for the spray.
Hmm.
In a freezing temperature, that may be a problem. It's bulkier, it's bigger. So if somebody's going to the beach, where are they going to put it? Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
With AnaFilm, it's thinner than a credit card, and the CEO used that illustration. So I'm gonna
He said you could put it in your phone. That was a great presentation they did, by the way. So here's my Flonase for my allergies. Like
yeah,
this is
right.
my Flonase. I use it. Not too small,
So,
not too big. I don't own ARS, by the way.
but yeah, no. So again, and then somebody, a car ran over a spray. That's not like going to be usable.
Right.
The CEO said he held this up. This is AnaFilm placebo. You can dip it in water, it's fine. You can put it in the heat, it's fine. You can freeze it, it's fine. You can run it over by a car, it's fine.
Wow.
And he said, this is where I carry it all the time. 97% of people of
Wow.
Americans have a smartphone and put it right there. It's always with them. They're at the beach. The reason why I chose the beach as an example, Dan, is that my wife has a business and she has a client that went to Miami, and I tweeted this out. 28 years old, I think, had severe nut allergy, and
Mhm.
somebody offered her. This is last year's spring break
Mhm.
in Miami. Somebody offered her a piece of chocolate. Did not know that it had some type of it was like kind of some powdery nuts on it.
Mhm.
She died
She
right on the
died.
beach.
Oh my God.
Right on the beach. She would have had her phone with her. Everybody's got their phone with them,
Yeah.
you know,
Where would it be?
and
Like on
it's
a
right
pouch
there.
or like on a pouch or because like the film you would put it on the pouch or the AQST would develop like the container for it as well, you think, or how?
They have a yeah, they have like a kind of like a ring, a box up for a ring, kind of.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? You kind of snap open and
Yeah.
close.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to use that, yeah. But you put AnaFilm on your phone. That girl at that moment, I guarantee you, has a phone on her body.
Yeah.
It would have saved her life.
Yeah.
With the spray, it could have been in her car.
Right. A lot of that stuff you leave, hey, I
In
don't
the
need it.
car.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying when it comes to convenient, it is undebatable. The
Yeah.
film will win out. And I've been doing this for almost 19 years
Every
and
time.
have talked to allergists and doctors about the film.
Yeah.
100% of the time they would choose the film.
I agree. I think so. As long as they're similar costs, which I don't know if they got into that yet, or they don't even have to get into that yet, right? As far as the costs are concerned. Because I know another stock I got hammered on, KMPH. They had a Staris, which by the way is a partner of AQST. They actually have some, AQST actually has some rights to a Staris somehow through some roundabout
They
way.
do.
They helped co-develop it or something, or I think it was a pro drug. They sold it early to use the
Yep.
cash, and then they got like licensing rights. AQST did everything right, by the way. Like Suboxone film, they outsourced
Yeah.
the technology to other companies. Maybe that's not the end of it either. Like other companies come back to them. But some of these things like end up getting approved but they end up being like too expensive. No one prescribes it. That's kind of what happened with KMPH. With now Zevra took over. Like no one was prescribing it because you had Vyvanse and. But this, to me, this is such a clear improvement over what the standard of care. It's
Yep.
not like compare like KMPH the ADHD drug. This is like life or death.
Right.
To me, it's not the same thing. I'm just trying to find something where I could poke holes in this thing, and I can't, and that's why I own it, by the way. Like that's why I
Yeah,
own it.
and I'm glad that you still have them. And I trust me, when I go through an evaluation process of picking a ticker, and you can actually go back to my Twitter feed, I announce the I announced, I said, I am about to release. Well, I said I have three tickets I'm about to release. I'm about to release another one, and I said this one is personal. Okay,
Yeah.
that was the hint I gave, and it took me, I believe, another month or so to release it. Right,
Wow.
and because I want to do it right, and of all of the tickers that I've invested in and I've called out, VKTX and LQT and all that, I have never devoted that much time as I am in AQST, because it's, there's something extra about it to me. And I hope that the thing about EpiPen is that it has saved lives, Dan, no doubt. But EpiPen also costs lives,
Right.
because cost, inconvenience,
Right.
pain.
Right.
People don't care with them. They don't fill that
Especially young
prescription.
people, like the people you mentioned, you're
Yeah,
young, they're not carrying the stuff with them. They think they're invincible, even
right.
if they have an allergy. Oh, I'm gonna watch what I eat. I don't need it. You don't need,
Yeah,
sometimes you just need to be around somebody. Like my niece with the allergies too, with peanut. When she comes over, you can't eat anything with nut anywhere near her.
yep. It's
She's
so
starting,
deadly.
yeah. Yeah, so having something like this, what makes AQST and the pro drug thing so unique, and I think looking back, genius what these guys did, how they planned their pipeline. They found the indication with like the loophole, so 2 to 5 year old with seizure, like that's something that FDA they want specifically targeted for pediatrics. Then they went for AnaFilm, which is epinephrine. Okay. So you don't need to prove efficacy.
Right.
You
Just safety.
just the safety and all you got to do is demonstrate PK, PD, T max, whatever they look at. You
Correct.
only need healthy volunteer for that. You don't need people having an allergic reaction and then randomize them in a trial. That would be ridiculous. So those are
Right.
actually cheaper trials
Yep.
than their derm. Now, like you
Correct.
said, and I don't think a lot of people realize the derm thing, that could be the biggest money of all, but it's also going
Mm-hmm.
to be the most expensive one to develop because you're going to need singles, multi-center sites actually
Correct.
seeing these patients. And those are people like me, like I'll take the study, we'll do it. It takes
Yep.
years to enroll. Hopefully you do it right, you don't mess up. Now you're competing because now that's no longer like an unmet need necessarily. It's
Correct.
another Me Too type of drug, even though this is not a map. But
Right.
they picked like the almost like the sure thing first,
Yeah.
and then gradually, methodically go to the more expensive stuff. In hindsight, it's brilliant. Like these guys need to be applauded for the strategy they chose. And I don't even know the strategy they did before, like outsourcing something to KMPH, Chem Farm for the Suboxone. They made money. They're still, I heard on the earnings call, we made $1 million in this last quarter from Zavara,
Road. Yeah.
right?
Correct.
I
Correct.
mean, that's work they did years ago. They're still getting paid off of it.
Yeah. And if you keep reading down some more lines of the earnings, um, they are, well, the CEO, I mean, he is sharp, because they do out licensing and stuff like that. And some of these cats trying to cheat, they will take them to court. So
Mm.
you notice
Yeah.
that they got like 8.5 million, something like that, because they sued somebody for trying to cheat, their license.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So yeah,
Trying to
no,
be
this,
clever. Trying to be clever with these guys.
yeah, yeah. So man,
We need to
no,
get Dan
they,
on the show, man. You think Dan would do it if me and you co-host and Dan come on? You think we can get that?
I would say no, because the last thing he wants is one of the FDA agent watching the video, like, what the hell are you doing up there,
They
Dan?
won't watch. They wouldn't watch. They don't
Yeah.
watch my stuff. But
So yeah,
I
no,
do you think
yeah,
he cares about retail? I don't think they even care what retail cares. You know, like some of these penny stock, this is not a penny stock anymore, but like some of these stock, they're so thirsty. They hire PR people. Hey, Dan, they know I have a podcast. Dan, here's a new press release. Who do you want to interview? We'll have them come on. You can kind of tell, well, why are they pushing so much? You know, they want the retail to come in. To me, it's almost a red flag. Now, there's a line between good marketing and branding, which I believe in, but like overly promoting too much.
yeah.
And these guys don't do any of that. I
No, and
tried. They don't.
actually, let me tell you, this is not, you know, to if I saw Dan on one of the YouTube videos, like interviewing, I'd be like, heck no, I'm out.
You're
So,
out. Wow, you. I'm gonna hit him up on LinkedIn. What up, Dan? You
yeah,
think like there's something there with the being too thirsty to promote versus focusing on the core? Because a lot of these guys play financial games. Like,
I
let's pump
listen.
it and move,
Yes,
which we've seen.
I love the way management is handling this. They put their heads down and they focus and they work. And they promote the product. You know where they do it at? At the allergy conferences. That's how you market, right? You don't get on some random show and talk about and pump it.
But
No,
they don't want
you
Reddit people to buy
yeah,
the stock.
exactly. Yeah, so they are doing everything textbook because you know what? They have experience in
Yeah.
making drugs, get it to the FDA, getting approval. They've done it so many times. They know the process. So
Mm.
management wise, man, I love this company. They do everything right. And they money wise, how they manage they push forward the loans and stuff like that. I mean, they they're so meticulous about everything. That's why I love this company.
I'm still gonna hit them up because I want to do the derm study. Because, like I said, this AnaFilm one, they don't need my site. They need healthy volunteer phase 1 sites. So we don't do that. But
Yeah, okay.
the derm one we do. We treat real patient, diverse. You know, there's actually a chance I could get that study.
Yeah,
But then I gotta be careful doing videos on it. So if I do the study with them, you won't hear from me about AQST anymore. But I
highly, yeah, yeah,
do you think
yeah,
like this is where it gets scary for me, all right? I'm a clinical research guy. You're a science guy. I look at that first. It's easy to fall in love with the science. The business come, warrants. Once I start hearing stuff like this, warrants, uh, it's almost like, okay, well, I understand you're running out of money, but like that's the way the retail investor can get screwed.
yeah.
Are there any signs of AQST doing this? It doesn't seem like they need money.
No, they yeah, somebody pointed that out, like, oh, they're releasing these warrants or whatever. Their death and everything, they've got that all of that under control. And what the senior note holder, they actually um, they had an option to do royalties or being paid in shares. They chose royalties. They basically became investors like you and me.
Hmm.
And that and if you heard that, you should have heard that on the call
Who,
from
some
the
of their vendors? Some of the vendors you said, or
not the vendors. What they're the senior note holder.
oh, so okay, okay.
So instead of getting paid back in shares, they want royalties, and so that's why the
Ah,
chief financial officer highlighted that. And so if you go back and listen to even the Oppenheimer conference, they talked about that. That listen, these huge investors, they believe in us. that's the testament to what we're doing. They actually see what we're doing, they believe in it and invested in us. So instead of getting interest in shares or whatever, they chose royalties like 1 to 2% for 8 years of royalties of
Wow.
AnaFilm. I
Wow.
mean, think about that.
Wow.
That
Yeah.
means they assume that it's going to be approved.
Right. I think a lot of
So
people do assume. And maybe this is like one of those diamond in the rough because it's not popular on Reddit and stock twits. I mean, now it is because when you go up like this much in the year, what is it up this year? Like 200% or something? Something crazy.
it's, I would say at least 200. Yeah.
I mean, now it's starting to get the attention of the retail, Twitter. Uh, so it seems like they did everything methodically, the right way, keeping debts under control. But that's the part where I'm always afraid, because like Chem Farm, that kind of screwed me over too. I ended up breaking even, but I was really like a fan of the founder, Dr. Mickle, who
Okay.
developed Astaris, and they basically got like hostile takeover in a way from another like financial arbitrage company, and Astaris didn't sell like it should, and now it's called Zevra, and I don't even know what they do. Like nobody really cared. They've completely refocused.
The CEO correctly used the words transformation and transformative.
Hmm.
And I believe that to be true because the company now is nothing like it is even like 2 years ago. You
Yeah,
can't even recognize it. And you've been
yeah.
a holder for a long time, so you
Since
know what I'm talking about.
2019. 2019. The price almost didn't change like between then and just a few months ago. Well, it changed in the negative a lot during
Yeah,
2021, 22. Yeah, when everything else was triple Xing, with low credit, this was going down. I remember this was 80 cents, 1.70 cents. I looked at my watch. I'm like, I'm gonna stop looking at it. Now I look at it, it's $5.68.
yeah. On that note, I I always announce to my followers the next ticker I'm gonna release.
Mm.
And so like I think it was a weekend and I think AQST went up to like 36%, 40%. And somebody asked me on Twitter, all right, give us the next ticker.
They're out. A lot of people don't appreciate the science, I think. I noticed
Yeah,
from the investment community,
right,
but you could also fall in love with the science, which is not good either. So you
right.
have to find a middle ground. It's really tough to find these companies, but I'm glad you're out there promoting, and I'm doing what I can just because I love it. I mean, you have a personal connection to it.
Yeah.
I'm just invested for a long time and ended up knowing more than I should about this thing. Um, I think we should do another pod on what to look for in a biotech because I think we kind of
Okay.
are
Yeah.
circling around certain concepts that we can dig deeper on
Right.
another podcast one of these days. But everybody go follow Biotech Scanner right now. If you're on YouTube, click the link. And if you're on X, he's mentioned because I'm gonna upload the video organically to X as well. Um, Anything else that you didn't get to say or
Well, thank you for the invitation to do this,
no, thank
and
you. Thank you.
say
It's
hi
nice to meet
to
you.
yeah, nice to meet you, and say hi to your family.
Likewise.
And again to my follower, um,
Dragons.
please, yeah, dragons, spread the word about AnaFilm. This is beyond money. You're gonna save somebody's life even not knowing about it,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Tell them to carry the rescue. It doesn't matter if it's EpiPen, NaviQ, whatever they have right now. But sooner or later, it's going to be AnaFilm. But tell them in the meantime, to carry the rescue with them. It's going to save their lives. And I appreciate you all following me in Twitter. Um, it is about time for us to raise the standard in um, due diligence, especially in biotech. It's very risky. You all deserve the best information. And if you follow me to find the next pump and dump, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get a ticker a day. You're not going to get that. You're going to get very frustrated because I told you all that AQST may be the last ticker I release for the rest of the year and maybe into 2025. So if you follow me just to get a new ticker, you're gonna be very disappointed. But thank you so much for following me, and also to follow Dan on his YouTube channel. I have seen his stuff. Is very informative, and that's part of the reason why I agreed to come on his show
Thank you.
because I watch his other shows. So
Thank you.
thanks, Dan, and I will see you around Twitter, and definitely can do another one about how to find a biotech company to invest in.
I think so. I think the clinical research is what I do. Blurring, a lot of my clients are biotech. I think we can marry the two worlds because a lot of investors don't even understand the cost of research and
Yeah,
what it entails. Like that healthy volunteer, to me, it's an easy study. It
yeah,
makes sense to do those first two, right away and then do the derm one later, which I agree with you. I think that's the real moneymaker. Like AnaFilm, this is why I think this 30, 40, $50 stock, like
yeah,
honestly, could 10x from here. I don't disagree with you. Why have another taker right now? It's so
exactly.
risky. Yeah.
Yep,
Well,
yep.
thank you, Biotech Scanner. I appreciate it. Everybody go connect. It was really nice getting to know you, and I'm a dragon myself now. So
All
thank you.
right.